We're live. So I'm going live tonight because I just finished up watching the first two episodes of the Innocence Files on Netflix. And I'll tell you what, number one, the first two episodes were interesting, but what's also striking me about this show is that this is a perfect opportunity. This show could go to multiple seasons where the Innocence Project can keep going through its exonerees and telling the stories, and actually showing people where time and time again law enforcement and DAs get it wrong. And there's evidence there that would have helped them get it right, but they were ignoring it for various reasons. And in the Innocence Project and this new show, in the Innocence Files, I think could play a huge role in exposing that, and to where more people will see the problem. I mean, I'm not anti-law enforcement or district attorney, whatever, and all that. But I want them to be honest, and I want the system to be honest. And when we see, like what we see in these first two cases that are in the first two episodes, when you see what's going on there and how they had the real perpetrator on the suspect list, okay? I mean, it's just scary what happened. It's absolutely bizarre. So, it's, the first two episodes are going through the story of two gentlemen that were convicted of raping these two little girls, raping and killing and supposedly biting these two little girls. The little girls are Courtney and Christine. They were very young girls, and so when it turns out that Courtney was taken first, and when Courtney was taken, she was found in a body of water, with raped and all these things, and it was terribly tragic, obviously, yes, but in the investigation, they ended up turning to this guy, Mike West, this bite guy, this what's it called, or a dental, forensic odontologist or whatever, right? That's basically a dentist, forensic dentist, and he's in there and analyzing bite marks and whatever, and he's saying that these girls were bit, and that the bite marks match. In the first case, it was LaVon Brooks. And in the second case with Christine, it was Kennedy Brewer that Mike West then came and said his teeth matched the bite marks on the little girl. Okay, so as this all gets played out, number one, they had no evidence to like DNA or anything like that against either one of these gentlemen. They put these cases, both of these cases, together solely on bite mark. Or, on bite mark analysis from Mike West. That's all they had in these cases. You're watching the first one. That's the one I'm talking about right now. So, I don't know. Spoilers? I mean, if I want to tell you that there, it's, but it's just, to me, it's again showing where law enforcement and investigators and DAs will just not do their job sometimes because it's easier to just be on autopilot. And it's, for me, that's what this is illustrating when I'm watching this. Because the guy who was the actual lead investigator, he was actually very much interested in the suspect that actually did this. He was actually very much interested in that guy. But the DAs ignored him. And they went after LaVon Brooks in the first case because they favored the bite mark analysis. Never mind if they had just tested all the samples they took from the actual perpetrator, they would find out that it matches the rape kit. They didn't even do that. They were so sure about this bite mark evidence that they didn't even test the samples that they took from other suspects. These are how mistakes happen, folks. And I'm excited about this television. I'm excited about this new Netflix series because the Innocence Project has a lot of stories they can tell. There's a lot of stories they can tell to illustrate how our justice system gets it wrong. When it gets it wrong, the Innocence Project is in an excellent position to educate the people of how it happens. So, all right, let's take a look at the comments real quick before I babble on any further. All righty. Hello, Mandy. Hello, Rhonda. Hello, Cherie. Hey, Trav. What's up, buddy? Hello, Audra. Hey, Linda. How's it going? Hey, Sharon, my trusty Ouija. Linda, you already watched them? Okay, good. No spoilers for you. Good series. Been a few hundred hours of other content since I viewed. I need a refresher, I bet. It was interesting stuff. I mean, like I said, a little bit great inside look at the real. Well, that's what I mean. That's the thing when I was watching this show and I was watching these first couple cases and I was thinking about it, how this is the Innocence Project. I mean, you're seeing Barry Scheck and Peter Neufeld, who are the co-founders of the Innocence Project, right? So you're seeing these two gentlemen in the show. They are part of the producing. Watch the credits. They are big. They are the producers and stuff. They're the driving force behind it. So I'm excited about this because, like, look. The Innocence Project is the one that's been compiling all the data about wrongful convictions and about coerced confessions and about all those various things. It's the Innocence Projects that have been doing that because they're exonerating people on DNA, and then they're able to point out where the mistakes happen in our justice system. And that's why now that they're going to be doing this television show where they can actually really show people in a plain way right there on screen, and explain things to people of how these kinds of things happen, and how it is that whether it's willful or intent, or whether there's intent, how certain things cause these things to happen, certain methods, attitudes of investigators, various things. But I'm just very excited about this show because obviously we have this first season, but I mean, Innocence Project's had many, many cases and many, many exonerations. I could see this going into multiple seasons, and I could see this being huge in educating the public about how the mistakes happen, where they come from. You all have some exonerees lined up for Mammothon. I think they will be a big hit. Yes, Tracy Strunzi will be having quite a few exonerees. One of those exonerees, she has, I believe, Johnny, our good friend Ripper, who is now a host. Ripper will be interviewing one of those as well. I am working on one right now. Got a message back this morning, and I responded. Still in the process, but I may have one myself. So we'll see. It's going to be fun. But there will be some exonerees that the hosts will be talking to, particularly Tracy. But I think that some of the other hosts may be lining up an exoneree or two as well, possibly. We'll have to see what happens. But there's lots of good content lined up for Mammothon. So everybody be looking out for that. It's sad the bite marks are proven to be It's sad that the bite marks are proven to be bogus, but those odontologists are in total denial. Well, I think sometimes the odontology has maybe some basis. But if you looked at when they were trying to match up the teeth with those marks on the little girls, it didn't really work. There was it was a lot of partial this and that, whatever. It wasn't, or there was only teeth on one side. There wasn't like two sets of teeth. You know what I mean? So it was weird. And the fact is that they figured it out. Most likely it was the crawdads in that body of water. And the crawdads were creating those marks, So, except nobody's listening. The system isn't changing. Yeah, well, that's the spirit, Sapper Cop. There you go, buddy. Did somebody wake up and whiz in your cornflakes today, Sapper? I'm sorry about that, buddy. How's it going, Jamie Hart? Good to see you. Hey, Jamie Van. This reality of wrong convictions is distressing, and death row yet. Well, that's the other thing too, is that one of these gentlemen was actually on death row. I mean, this is to me clear as a bell. This is why the death penalty, we're not responsible enough to have a death penalty. We're seriously not. One of these guys who was completely innocent was on death row for 5 years, or maybe a little more than 5 years. But dude was on death row, 100% innocent. Do we know what the hell we're doing to be taking something we can't give back? That's all I'm saying. So true, Rhonda, but one guy made me so angry. How date you question my exactly, Mandy. Let's see. Look at how he interviewed the sister, a 5-year-old. Oh yeah. What's his name? Uncle Bunky. Yeah, that guy. Yeah, it's when they go and start looking how how things that she was saying were not things, like she would say something, whatever, and describe something one way, and then because he didn't the Halloween mask, for instance, right? She said the guy was wearing a Halloween mask, and he says to her, "Oh, well, yeah. Well, was it? You say he was wearing a Halloween mask, or was it a stocking?" And then once he suggests stocking, the little girl says stocking. So, just like we're saying with Brendan, very similar to like what we're saying with Brendan, you're not supposed to suggest the information to the person you're interviewing, right? So anyway. See, they're not allowed to testify, match, compare. That back in the day, it was that back in the day it was as good as fingerprint. Yeah, I don't think it's as good as fingerprint. It worked with Bunny, but they had pretty full set of bite print from. Bundy bit those girls hard, and he left like almost every tooth, and so there was very little doubt that it was his, bite. So anyway, the body of water. Yes, when a body of water, all kinds of fish and other things at the body. Yeah, they did. They did some in the first episode. They did like a thing where they put some a piece of flesh or whatever. I forget where they got it from, a cadaver maybe or something, but they put it into a water with crawdads, and when they pulled it back out, the skin had been broken in very similar way to the way the skin had been broken on these little girls when they found them in these ponds. Let's see. Bite mark evidence is pretty much gone in every state. Yeah, so, and that's good. That's something that the Innocence Project has probably helped to discredit it, or at least not to make it so damning. It's, it's potentially something helpful, but it's not like fingerprints and it's not like DNA. Check out movie Trial by Fire. Death row guy wrongfully executed for burning his children. Let's see. I was just highlighting the futility of having so many problems in the system, but they aren't going to change it. I know, Sapper. I know. And he had a quarter in his ear. Yeah, the quarter in his ear. Yeah. See, I know there are many, but even one came close to me. It's because of these exonerations. It's because of these exonerations for the last 33 years that have caused many, many area of forensics to be re-examined. Absolutely, as it should. As it should. Which is, another reason why I'm glad Dean and Jerry developed their little project, the Center for the Integrity of Forensic Sciences. I mean, I think things like that are brilliant. Like the three wee boys from the West Memphis case with turtle bites, or the turtles, well, wild animals, but turtles too will go for the soft areas of a body they, may come upon. And that's why those particular areas on the boys were, damaged and everything. But they originally thought it was the killer, but it was really probably just the turtles in, or whatever, or possibly even other wildlife. So, I mean, that's another good point. Is that William? Good Lord, I can't communicate. It used to be the bite mark expert would come in and testimony and say it's a match, and this is as reliable as fingerprint evidence. Yeah, now they can't even say match. Right. Interesting. And they shouldn't be able to, because I think it's a great deal more imprecise than fingerprints or DNA. I couldn't understand how they could convict on the identification of a 5-year-old. Even adults, it's proven they are wrong. Yeah, I agree. And like I said, had they tested the kit they got from, what was the guy's name? Don. I didn't write it down. Don Johnson, I think it was. I think the guy that actually did it, his name was Don Johnson. Don Johnson, like Miami Vice. Anyway, they took a sample from him. Had they sent the rape kit and the samples that they collected to the lab, they would have had a DNA match on that guy from the beginning. See, it's, for me, the Innocence Project is also pointing out here the obvious missteps that investigations take. And I think that's another big part of this and why it's going to be such a big deal. Even though Sapper Cop is here to rain on our parade and tell us it's all doom and gloom and nothing's ever going to change and it's going to suck forever. I'm just messing with you, Sapper. Let's see. Very sad all the way around. Many of their lives was taken no good reason. That one guy with teeth matches never wrong. Wow. Wanted to hit that guy. The thing that got me about Mike West, that's his name, by the way. Mike West, he admits that he looks up to forgot his name, Sir something or other, the bite mark, the guy who did bite mark analysis in the Bundy case, and he's all, these are guys I should look up to and respect. But when they come in against him, they're all of a sudden whores. He had some little anagram worked out where it was witnesses honestly offering reasonable explanations or whatever. And so it was like an anagram for whore is what he was. It's this is somebody you respect, that instead of maybe considering whether their words might be true, you call them a whore instead. I mean, that part about that guy Mike West just went. At that point I went, whoa, this guy's a little nutty. Muscle tone and all that, yeah. I am kind of with Sapper on charges to the system. Won't happen. Changes to the system won't happen in our lifetime. I think you guys are going to find a lot of things changing in the next year. They should never have been able. Let's see. They should never have been able to. There wasn't any science behind it, like Eisenberg. Persistent lawyers force change. Just need the public to push back on mass incarceration and tough on crime. And Travis is right, folks. And that's what we're trying to do here. It's the whole point. Jamie, I love you, but I'll tell you what, man. It depresses me. We're all here to make change. It may not happen. It may not come like an avalanche overnight. But I think we'll see some meaningful change in our lifetimes. I don't know. But I'd rather be optimistic. I don't know. But I love you. I love you, buddy. Don't get me wrong. So anyway. But Travis is right. Persistent lawyers force change. You know, just like Zellner and Drizzen and Nyrider are right now putting the pressure on and in the proper places legally. Okay? While the rest of us are putting the pressure on or from around the world in the public forums. You understand? That's what Travis is talking about here. That's what he's talking about. That's what we're doing. So I do hope we are going to have some effectiveness. And I hope that when we all move on from Stephen Avery and Brendan Dassey, when they are eventually, when their situations are eventually rectified, that we can all move on to other cases and help other wrongfully convicted and speak out and try to give a voice to other people who are in a position in prison where they can't speak out for themselves. And so if there is an injustice in their cases, they need people outside the prison walls to help make others aware of it. So you got to always remember that too. So, all right. DAs, judges, legislators are all scared. They're going to fact and add and candidate and let them go. They're scared to death of it. Nobody is scared of having an ad come out. He wrongfully convicted. Yeah, I agree with you, Travis. You're not doing so well with the words today. Anyway. See you later, Jamie. One person at a time, Erekose. If I did not feel there would be change, I would not be here. Just saying. Good to know, buddy. Hey, that's what I love about Jamie. We're like brothers. I can tell him I think he's full of crap, and he can say, "Yeah, I hear you." Let's see. I have faith in the truth-seeking people who will be speaking up to make change. Not fast enough for this girl. Well, not fast enough. Yeah, okay, gotcha. Definitely. It would be better if it was happening faster, but you know, that's another part of the system that needs to change. It's another reason why So to hammer on my point for this video here is why I think this show is so brilliant. Is that the more the Innocence Project tells the stories of how wrongful convictions happen and how injustices happen, more people will become aware of how they happen, and therefore more people will be paying attention for those things, and more people will be. Awareness is a big deal, and if the Innocence Project's going to start putting out a show on Netflix like this, that's probably going to get pretty popular. I think it's going to illustrate to the people how these things happen. And once people understand how wrongful convictions happen and how certain things happen in our justice system, certain inequities happen, then there's a chance at getting the people to vote together to get certain changes to happen. Education is first, and that's why I like this show. And I hope it goes into multiple seasons, because I hope people get a really, really good look at a bunch of different cases and get to see a bunch of different looks at how it goes wrong. How humans can get it wrong. Let's see. Let's see. Problem is, they are up against Wisconsin. They think they are invincible. Well, we are gonna, grind them down. We're gonna wear them down. That's what we're gonna do, because there's way more of us out here in the wider world. I mean, they're gonna be them, and they're gonna be there all the time. Whereas we have people coming in all the time, watching Making a Murderer, and coming in and joining the ranks of supporters for Stephen and Brendan all the time. I don't imagine they get a lot of people joining their ranks to support them. The more liberal-minded candidate defeated a conservative incumbent in Wisconsin. First time that's happened in more than 20 years. Not sure how this will change things, but things. 200 letters. How can you possibly get it out? Well, there's no doubt that there's people making power grabs right now. That's another thing I beg everybody to be careful of right now. The politicians, are busy voting themselves raises and stuff right now in the middle of COVID-19. So be critical of your leadership, folks. And I don't care which side of the aisle they're on, because for everybody to have voted themselves a raise in Congress, a bunch of people that have really nice homes, have it better than, 90% of the population are voting themselves raises, while real people are trying to figure out how they're going to make ends meet as the economy is dwindling. And so, yeah, be looking at your leadership right now. And as I said before, on both sides of the aisle. Anyways, moving forward. The other thing that needs to happen is that there needs to be sanctions for proprietal misconduct, like in the MA for lab scandal. More things to kind of check when things are going wrong, or more protocols to check when things might be going wrong. I understand, Shaz. I do. How many episodes are in the series? I believe it was here. You know what? Let me just check real quick. I believe it was 8.
We use the state of the art.
9. Sorry, 9. 9 episodes. Travis says he's perfect in every way. Yeah. I'm on episode 4. I am impressed with the fight the Innocence Project has, for sure. What I want to see is the change before someone does time. This starts with prosecuting crooked and yeah, I agree. I do agree with that, Jamie. We do need to. There needs to be some deterrent for district attorneys to not get the way most of them have gotten. There needs to be some kind of deterrent there to prevent it, because it is not okay to chase convictions for their own sake. It is not okay. It is. It may. People may be able to kid themselves that it's okay for a while, but it will grow like a cancer, and it will be bad, and it has gotten pretty bad. So that's why this stuff needs to be pointed out. Whenever humans are involved, there's a chance for a mistake. Some are benign, some are malicious. I agree, Sharon. In the middle of the snowstorm, expecting up to 12 inches of snow. I want to know where spring is. I don't know. Let's get on the investigation. Where is spring? No, I'm just kidding. Oh no, we just had that. My Scottish MPs are giving away their pay raises to charity. Oh yes, that's an interesting one. Thank you for bringing that up, Sharon. So over in, not only did Congress here vote themselves raises, but over in the UK Parliament in Westminster did the same apparently. So what the SNP politicians, who are the representatives from Scotland, what they did was donated their pay rise to charity. So I thought that was interesting. I did think that was very interesting, and I think it speaks about something about the differences between Scotland and the rest of the UK at the moment. But anyways, moving on. Does all state judges in the U.S. need to get reelected? Is it just federal judges who get lifetime appointment? Federal judges do get appointments. I believe some judges in the state courts are appointed and some are elected. I think it just depends on where it is. Episode 2 is a good one. I watched episode 1 and 2. Episode 1 and 2 are about the same, basically the same set of crimes. It's 2 crimes that were actually committed by one guy. Okay? But 2 different men were prosecuted for each one of the crimes. And that's what episodes 1 and 2 are. And so that's why I did them together, because it's basically the same story. ADPA is the single most destructive law preventing exonerations, and the lawyers know it, but there's no movement to get it repealed. Why? Well, because there are those who are interested in maintaining it. And I know what you mean, Sapper. I'm not denying you on that, you know? My answer is everybody watch your leadership right now and make your own judgments for yourself. See you later, Linda. So as I was saying, dude, this show is brilliant because this show can really, really, really highlight where things go wrong in the court, in the wherever. This show is poised to be able to do that very well. It's, when you think about all the cases the Innocence Project has, it's they have so many exonerations. I mean, there's going to be so many different stories they can tell of how many different ways that justice got missed, perverted, obstructed. They're going to be able to tell those stories and point out how and where it happens. And I mean, it's to me crucial. And as Travis has been saying in the chat during most of this video, is that, because of the work of the Innocence Project, that's why, the whole bite mark analysis stuff now has kind of been phased out, and it's not taken seriously in the courts like it used to be. It used to be considered like fingerprint evidence, as Travis was saying. It would be accepted like blindly almost by the courts. And so what he's saying is that because of the work the Innocence Project has been doing for the last 30 years or so, is that it's been illustrating that. And so that has now changed the way the courts look at the bite mark analysis. So it's and I mean, think about what else we're going to be able to see from the Innocence Project if they continue to do like a season 2, 3, 4, and doing anywhere from 7 to 11 episodes per season, telling all these different stories of how the system got it wrong, where it went wrong, where it went off the rails, and how we can prevent it. Right? That's why I can't tell you how excited I am for the potential of this show to help educate the masses of how things go wrong in our justice system. So I hope you guys all understand what I'm saying here, because I think this show can be a great teacher. And I do hope that Barry Scheck and Peter Neufeld do go on to do multiple seasons. I hope that they continue to tell the stories of what they do there at the Innocence Project. So, all righty. Let's see. Minnesota governor just cut his and his cabinet salaries by 10%. What a joke. People have lost 100% of their income because of COVID. Let's see here. And the one guy was only out for 10 years and then passed away. The ADPA was meant for terrorism and is where it should solely be used. Well, yeah, it was meant to apply to terrorists and people on death row. And that's who it was meant to apply to. Let's see here. Travis, 54 or 52 million. Pelosi put in bill for House raises. Not sure if that part got pushed through, though, but they tried. Let's see. I'm past crying. I'm stirred with anger, and don't speak to me of justice when this is that common, right? The fact that judges need to get reelected could be a reason why more don't make. Well, that's another. That's a good point, David Moore. Yeah, absolutely. If judges are having to worry about reelection, then they can't really. It's kind of hard to remain objective, isn't it? If you're worried about what the people are going to think of what you did or do, instead of worrying about what's just and what's fair and what's right, yeah, absolutely, David. I agree. See, yes, Jamie, that was so sad that he died of cancer. I cried so much when that happened. Job security at the cost of innocent people going to prison. Well, that's true. I was wrong. Innocence Project was founded in 1992, so it's about 28 years. Just look at the way they used to visually compare hair strands, right? And they don't do that anymore. We need hundreds of Zellners. Yeah. And I believe after making a murderer and serial and the staircase and stuff, I think we are going to see a generation of, you know, wrongful conviction attorneys emerge. I think there's a good chance we're going to see that in the next 15 to 20 years. Maybe even a little sooner. People that are in law school right now who've been moved by it. Not every single case, which is how it has been used. Did you hear it? That 2 guys escaped from a maximum security prison in Wisconsin at 5 a.m. this morning. They're on the run. No, I hadn't heard that. Or you could be convicted on blood type before DNA was developed. Yeah, that's true, which is not. Blood type is, I mean, it can be effective maybe in ruling somebody out, but too many people could have the same type of blood, and it's hard to, anyway. See, 35 million for child care help and to fund law enforcement, and that's a pay raise. Look, a squirrel. Okay. Anyway, can you imagine if with new DNA they went through every single case and checked that everyone had been correctly convicted? Imagine how many would be free. Absolutely. You know, I mean, there's probably a lot of mistakes still sitting out there, you know, but the Innocence Project can only do so much, because not only do they have a lot of letters that they get, but then they dig into the cases and there's a degree of difficulty in the cases. And it comes down to sometimes if they don't have DNA that they can easily send off to test and come up with something significant immediately, they often have trouble helping these people. So because their funds are limited, you know, so that serial is Adnan Syed, you may have heard of. Anybody get their stimulus checks yet? My personal opinion is the U.S. government needs to build a team of lab techs to go through and test cases where DNA was used in possibly questionable cases. Absolutely. Depending on what type of blood it is, A, B, or O, and RH factor at best can only exclude. Yeah, that's essentially what I was saying. Did I hear a squirrel? Yes. And on that note, I think we'll wrap it up. So I'm going to get back to watching this thing because I am finding it extremely interesting. I am probably going to be going live again at some point to talk about this after I watch maybe a few more episodes. This is fascinating. This is fascinating, and I really hope Barry Scheck and Peter Neufeld do decide to make a season 2 and 3 and 4 and 5 maybe. I hope they go into a lot of their cases. I hope they do. I hope they start showing people exactly how it goes wrong. And so, all right, that's what I mainly wanted to share with everybody tonight. Wanted to talk a little bit about this new show. If you guys weren't aware of it, go check it out. It's very interesting. It's just extremely, extremely interesting. And like I said, when we're in this fight trying to help Stephen and Brendan, and we're trying to illustrate how the justice system gets it wrong, it's a show like this, or shows like this, or stories like this coming out of the Innocence Project that inform us and tell us how the system gets it wrong and why the system gets it wrong. And that helps us to form our arguments more effectively. So everybody watch this. If you haven't, please go out and watch it. I'm going to, like I said, watch it. As soon as I'm done here, I'm going to put it right back on and go continue with episode 3. So I do encourage everybody to watch this show. I think it's brilliant. So, alrighty. It was a chipmunk. Oh, right on. All right, guys. It's been fun. Thank you for being here. Watch the Innocence Files on Netflix. It's really good stuff, folks. Alrighty. If you haven't already, please hit subscribe, and we'll see you.